All right. Are you recording right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be the intro.
Hello. All right. I am Miles Fletcher, sitting here with my boy Akil Brown, and this is Headspin Radio.
What's up, friends?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, bud. How are you, man?
I'm living life, enjoying it, doing my thing.
This week was one of those, it's weird. It's always weird whenever you have holidays fall in the middle of the week.
Yeah, it messed everything up. I didn't want to go back to do anything after Wednesday.
I don't want to go back to work tomorrow.
I don't ever want to go back to work.
No, yeah, it's strange. I saw something online. It was like a meme, and it was like, so how are we supposed to celebrate? Like, do we party just on Wednesday? Do we party all week? Or it's pretty funny.
I try to party every day anyway.
Party like a rock star.
So you want to kick this off?
Let's go, man. Episode 2.
Number 2. All right. So last time we spent pretty much the entire episode of speaking about what had happened in the week. So this time we're going to run through a few highlights of the week, and then we're going to try to we have a couple topics we want to talk about that'll probably take up the majority of the episode. So kick things off, we want to talk about everybody's favorite subject right now of LeBron James.
LeBron James
going to Cali. How do you feel about that, man?
Look, man, money makes the world go round. Do what you need to do. Get your cheese. You know what I mean? Like, me not being a huge basketball enthusiast, I guess, so I can't speak like super educated on it, but the dude is really, really good. Obviously, that's an understatement because he's, in the argument of, greatest of all time, X, Y, and Z, in comparison to Jordan or Kobe. But, like, the Lakers are legendary, bro. He's a legendary player. Why not?
Yeah, no. So I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off right now. Yeah. I feel like LeBron James is the best basketball player of all time already. I know you can talk about championships and things like that, but from the perspective of his talent level, what he's accomplished, and the teams that he's carried and the things that he's done, I personally feel like he's the best of all time already. There's a lot of people that are going to roll heads and try to look me up. I'll probably get some death threats or something like that from this. But as far as him going to Lakers, man, I support LeBron pretty much all the time unless he's playing the Mavs. And then, I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, so I'll root for LeBron. I like that he went to the Lakers. It's going to be interesting to see the dynamic with the balls and all that are there. I don't so much care for those guys, but hey, man, he's doing his thing, so he's going to go to Lakers. He'll probably, I think they'll win a championship within 2 years. That's my prediction. If you look at the team that he took this year, he was playing with.
There's nobody around him, man.
Yeah, he carried the team. There's some good names and stuff, but nobody was putting up points, and he carried that team. So
when you look at other elite NBA teams like Golden State, the Rockets, you know what I mean? Like, it's a collective usually, right? Like, there's multiple personalities, there's a synergy that comes together. But you're right, man. I think through and through, he's like the most dominant force on some of those teams that he's played for, so.
Yeah, and I was talking to my buddy. He's a huge Cleveland guy. I think his dad grew up in Cleveland. I grew up with him from like kindergarten. I've known him my entire life, and I was asking him how he felt since he was through and through Cleveland guy. Like, that's all he roots for is Cleveland teams. And he was saying, after the first time he left, he hated his guts, but once he came back and won the championships, and that kind of all went away. But now that he's leaving again, he's pretty much over him, and he's a traitor again and all that. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure some Cleveland Knights are gonna burn his jersey.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all I got to say about LeBron. Just interesting to see that he went to Lakers. Interested to see what he does there and how quickly he's able to win. I project about 2 years he'll be in the finals and win another one, and I'm going to root for that. So next thing we have is World Cup, FIFA. We had
It's another badass week.
man, we had a lot of action going on in FIFA. Again, my team France, my boy Eddie, rooting for my France, my Frenchman, beat Uruguay 2-0. It was a pretty good game. It was a lot of fun to watch. Brazil lost to Belgium 2-1 with the upset.
Dude, that the end of that game was awesome.
I didn't get to watch it. I caught glimpses of it here and there. So
They were. I honestly thought that they were going to be able to tie it up, but because they were attacking a lot in that last period, man. But I don't know. Again, that's like Brazil, right? When you think of like professional soccer, those guys.
yeah, that's who you think of when you think of FIFA World Cup.
So
At least for people that don't regularly watch it. So
another powerhouse is out. So it's stacking up. I mean, dude, these semis are going to look legit.
yeah, for sure. Then we had England over Sweden 2-0, and then Russia lost to Croatia on penalties. I think it was tied 2-2, and then originally ended up winning 4-3, I believe. So next up, they're going to be Belgium at France. That's Tuesday at 1 p.m., and then Croatia, England. That's Wednesday at 1 p.m. as well. So that's it for soccer, man. Also had some fights going on.
Yes, sir. Last night was crazy. Considered one of the super fights for MMA, and that was between Daniel Cormier, DC, against Stipe Miocic, and that was the crazy thing about it is DC is the light heavyweight champion,
Right.
currently. So he went up to heavyweight, ended up beating Stipe, which was the champion.
Super quick.
First round knockout, bro.
Yeah.
So it's weird because they're both great athletes. I think this solidifies DC as being like, whenever you talk about someone like the greatest of all time, he's definitely going to be that conversation now.
And he's been there forever. Like he's been in the UFC forever. Like
Yeah. So it's cool to see. I mean, he's like in the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter of his career. You know what I mean? So metaphorically speaking. So he said that he's going to be retiring next March, I think.
Yeah. Well, when he fought the Spider, when was that? Late last year, and he lost.
The Spider, Anderson Silva.
Anderson Silva, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he was talking about retiring back then. So
yeah, that's because he got his ass whooped.
right.
So he said that timeline is still on the books, man. March, he's going to be making his exit. But, for a guy like that, dude, he's still going to contribute to the sport. I imagine he's probably going to become like a commentator, somewhere and still be involved. But, shout out to him, dude. Like, Miocic is not an easy task at all. That dude is a beast. Like, he ripped through that heavyweight class and, had a couple title defenses. So, good to see, man. Dude's got 2 belts now, and he's on cloud 9. So, first round knockout though. Like, and did you see his face? Did you see Miocic's Stipe's face?
Messed him up,
bro. So some people were saying that there was, I don't know that he was explicitly or like intentionally cheating. There was like an eye poke, and so they said that gave him the advantage to be able to, to beat Stipe. But look, man, at the end of the day, that's how fights go. Sometimes on the drop of a dime, a fight can change, So that was good though.
and now what? He's gonna fight Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, dude. Funny that you say that though, because as an MMA enthusiast, the UFC already is kind of considered like a in terms of exposure for the sport, it is obviously the biggest, right? When you think of MMA, you automatically think of UFC. Like, a lot of people don't think of like Strikeforce or like the Grand Prix and stuff like that from like days of the old. But what I don't like is these guys train so incredibly like intense. They eat, sleep, and breathe training and fighting. And for me, like, for Dana and like for them to bring in that whole WWE wrestling kind of vibe into a man, like it waters down not only the organization but also respect for the sport.
So let's back up real quick. Why don't you explain to people that didn't see it what happened with Lesnar coming into the ring and all that?
So after DC, won, and they announced him, taking the belt. They interviewed him, whatever, and so he's like, this is great. He's again on cloud nine, and then Brock Lesnar storms into the ring, into the octagon rather, and
he actually called him out.
Who's that?
Cormier.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yes, you're correct. But the thing is, though, is anyone watching that knew it was fucking staged.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
regardless of how it happened, it was staged. But Cormier did call him out.
So he calls him out, and here comes Brock Lesnar. And for those of you that don't know, he's already made an attempt to be like a fighter. I called it from the very beginning, dude. He does not. Dude's athletic. He's strong. He's huge, but he's not a fighter, and he doesn't have the heart of a fighter.
Yeah.
So Cain Velasquez is one of my absolute favorite fighters of all time, and I love to see whenever he decimated Brock Lesnar, bro. Like straight disrespected him. You know what I mean? So, so what I'm saying is now that Brock Lesnar is coming back to make a second appearance in UFC, again, it takes away from just how pure and how serious MMA and like the art is.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him making a comeback or whatever you want to call it. And if that part sells tickets and giving him a fight maybe he doesn't deserve, that sucks for the other fighters that work their ass off to get there.
Absolutely, dude. Like it should. I don't mean to cut you off, but it should go without saying that Stipe would be DC's next fight would be a rematch against Stipe.
You would think so,
you know
right?
what I'm saying?
Yeah. The part that I have the problem with though is if that was a staged invite somebody into the ring and shove and push match, and that part of it I don't like at all. As far as the fight, like if you want to give him a fight to boost sales or whatever, then it sucks for everybody else, but I understand that at the end of the day it's a business. It should be a lateral system to get to the next fight or rematches and things like that, but I can deal with that. I hope Cormier beats Lesnar. Like,
dude, I don't see. Again, since you and I and pretty much anybody with eyes saw that it was pretty staged, it'd be hard pressed to see him lose to Brock on his way out before he retires. Like that would be so shitty, bro.
Yeah, that'd be devastating. It would suck, right?
Absolutely, man. So, if you look at some things in the recent past, right? You had like personalities like Ronda Rousey, right? Ronda Rousey, she, in my opinion, and people might come at me for this, but dude, she was overrated. She was a cash cow for UFC. I don't want to say that she didn't have the heart of a champion, but you could tell that like it faded pretty quick. To me, she was a one-trick pony. Yeah,
it faded in one fight. One loss, and fucking, she went off the deep end.
Yeah,
she went 2007 Britney Spears. Surprised she didn't shave her head.
So, God, talk. So and then you see her, and in order for her to stay relevant, she starts acting. Getting her money over there. Now she's in WWE. CM Punk came over to UFC as well. But what I'm saying is you start to see this trend in the UFC where all the politics are starting to do. There's politics everywhere, but when it's apparent and it's out in the open like that, like it, dude, for like the diehard fan, it's a turnoff, man.
Yeah, it makes me think of sports in general. You think of the NFL,
NBA.
Mm-hmm. They're huge. They're entertainment companies. That's what they are. Like, the game is what it is, and it's a great thing to watch. But if you really pay close attention to what's going on in it, there's always something that's going on to push media and sales and money and everything like that. So.
And that's not to take anything away from WWE, right? I mean, again, like you said, with it being a business, do what you need to do to maximize your profits. Those guys are athletes too, and girls are athletes as well. They train hard for what they do, but let's just be real, that shit's fake. You know what I'm saying? So for the realism of UFC, the level of commitment and sacrifice that these fighters go through, man. Again, I feel like it's going to kind of wash some of what MMA is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't understand what the MMA or UFC specifically could do differently. I mean, they're already one of the largest sports franchises, whatever you want to call it, in the U.S. But it's still not, or maybe it is. I don't know. What you probably know this more than it's when it compares to like the NFL and NBA and stuff like that. Does it compare at all? Is it?
You mean in terms of like following?
Like like if the crowds that go to an MMA fight, they're not in comparison to an NFL game.
It's a good question. I have to look that up, man. But
if I remember right, just watching or listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, I want to say like some of the big sellouts are like 30 to 60,000, somewhere in that range.
I mean, like, what's the capacity of Mandalay Bay? Dude, Mandalay Bay sold out damn near every card.
Probably within that range, 30, 60, somewhere around there.
So, yeah, I mean...
And some of the NFL games are 80, 90, 100, sure, depending on what games and stuff it is. So,
but then you also got to look at, like, pay-per-view.
Right.
And the viewership and all that stuff. So, obviously, just like boxing, depending on who's fighting, was going to draw different numbers. But...
it'd be interesting to see the numbers comparison, like NFL primetime games on cable TV, getting paid by advertisements and blah blah blah, versus pay-per-view sales and selling out arenas and things like that. Like what the business plan and profits and stuff like that look like in comparison.
I don't want to assume, but I'm sure NFL probably smokes MMA when it comes to that.
Maybe I don't know.
Like Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football, stuff like that.
You would assume so, just because of the numbers. But like you brought up, though, people are paying what, $50 a pay per view or $100 depending on what the fight is. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to look at.
Yeah, if you have 100 million pay per view, orders or whatever the case is, like it starts to stack up real quick.
Fuck, I want to make more money. Shit.
So yeah, but anyway, yeah. So again, congrats to DC. That was a amazing feat. One more thing regarding this, Jon Jones has to be fucking pissed off right now to see his poor decisions, where it took him, right? Because I mean, Jon Jones called DC's card. You know what I mean? Like he wrecked that boy. So technically, that could be Jon Jones enjoying what DC is enjoying right now. Granted, every fight's different, so you never know. But
so a while ago, I said Spider. That's who I was talking about. Jon Jones. When Jon Jones fought Cormier, and he beat him, and then he had to give up his win because he tested positive after or whatever it was. That's the fight I was talking about.
And so like I'm like one of the most like least judgmental people that you'll ever meet, and you know this, but look, man, I get it. Like we all screw up, you make poor decisions, whatever the case is. But where I was a huge Jon Jones fan, and
dude, it was fun to watch, man.
Man, that again, you have to consider him as one of like the greatest fighters, athletes in MMA. But to see him reach that pinnacle and become what he had worked so hard to do, then to throw it away for that the first time, so you're familiar with whenever he got into that accident and he hit the pregnant woman, right? So that was the first time, and then I guess he had like drugs or something in the car,
right?
And so he was like a hit and run, so he took off, right? So dude, who's to say like that lady wasn't injured or her baby, you know what I'm saying? Like that
bad life decision,
dude, gave me a terrible taste in my mouth about him, right? But again, I wrote it off. Hey man, we make poor decisions. Then he comes back, dude, right? And screws up again, tests positive. I'm like, bro, at this point, like, because the thing is, you're not just Jon Jones, man. Like, you have kids that look up to you. You have kids that are going to their dojos and going to train because they want to be like you.
I want to be like you.
Yeah, dude.
Exactly.
So you threw it all away for what? So now DC is just out here just living his best life. You know what I mean? You know, what's the word I'm looking for? Double freaking weight class belt holder. That's fire, bro.
Yeah.
That's I'm assuming that's what John Jones wanted to do. But
And he could have.
yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So-
I personally, well, he beat him. So I was going to say, I feel like he's a better fighter than Cormier.
He is a better fighter than Cormier. Now the only thing is though, man, is fighting light heavy to heavyweight. That's a big jump.
Big
too,
jump,
man.
yeah.
So like the
He's-
power.
He has a little bit more thickness to him.
yeah.
So
Like he
maybe-
probably walks around. I'm sure he probably walks around like 220. 230.
Who?
John. Because he fights
yeah,
205.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, well, it sucks to suck. John Jones, if you ever hear this, could have been you, man. But hats off to my guy DC.
Hope it was some good blow.
So what are we talking about today, man?
We are going to talk about. Let's start with social media. Social media in the world we live in today.
I think it's a very pertinent conversation topic.
So, the reason I wrote this down was because I was driving to work, and on the way to work, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm looking, I'm swiping, I'm liking pictures, I'm trying to tag some shit, I'm trying to post a selfie driving down the fucking road, like.
Guilty.
And as I was driving down the road and I put my phone down, I was like, dude, like, how much time do I spend on this phone? And then a little bit deeper thought was, how is this affecting my life? Like, the things that I'm seeing, the things that I'm putting out there, the perceptions, like, how much does it actually get into my mind, drive me, and affect the person that I am? And then not only who I am, but Maddox, the people around me, the things that I'm saying, the things that I'm doing. Like, I don't know. So I kind of just went down this little rabbit hole of thought on my little drive to work. And so I wrote it down. I wanted to talk about social media and the way it plays into our lives today. So,
Man, it's scary when you think about what it's become, right? So I guess we're not like super old, right? But in comparison to like technology or just the access to things, you think about like the MySpace days, right? MySpace was cool. You had your page and you could actually I felt like I was like a part-time coder. Like you could actually like insert scripts and just totally trick out your page and you could put like music on there. Cool. But it was a different vibe back then, I feel too. So now you see just how big like Facebook, Instagram, like Twitter. It's almost like an alter ego, like it's a persona, right?
yeah, for sure. Like
For a lot of people, right?
a lot of people.
I'd say for most people, because as humans we like to kind of project like the good things in life,
The
right?
best of the best.
Yeah. So like you're not going to see someone posting about
Taking a shit. Well, you might. That was kind of funny. You might see
I
that.
mean, shit. Half the time, dude, that's when we're checking. That's when we're checking it, right? But no. So I say that because it's powerful, man. Like especially in the age of like right now, right? We see things that are retweeted and reshared, and memes and just all those different things, and how it can affect people's outlooks and the way that they think, how they interact and get along with other people. So the cognitive bias does come in, and we briefly talked about this when we did the live recording a few weeks ago. But you see something, right, and your biases are automatically gonna, I guess, kind of teach or show you how you're gonna deal with that, right? You may write someone that you respect, you may write them off completely because it goes against like your belief or the biases that you already possess, versus maybe like fact checking it or looking into it, researching it. Maybe there's some validity to whatever they're posting, but because you're staunch anti whatever, you know, you just completely write it off. And I feel like it's dangerous, man. And I feel like a lot of times that's what's continuing to drive the wedge between people, you know?
Yeah, and it goes the other way too, right? So you see people posting all these perfect pictures, and
Got to get your angles right, man.
got to get your angles right. You got to have your nice clothes on.
Yeah.
Sporting some fancy jewelry, or there's a lot of people go do photo shoots, and they're sitting in fancy cars and mansions and all this other bullshit, and you're like, man, I want to be like that, or I'm not going to have a chance with a girl like that, or whatever it is. And that's completely not reality at all. That's some hag chick that puts a shit ton of makeup on, that knows how to take a picture with the right angles, or has a good photographer that photoshops the shit out of it, and goes to people's houses to take, and they're paying them to go to that house and sit in their car.
Yeah.
And not to say that everybody that does that is not an attractive person, but 9 times out of 10, that's not reality.
Yeah.
And it's sad, man. It's sad to see that that people don't realize that. A lot of people think that because they see it on the internet, or they see it in their feed, or whatever it is, that's what that person is. That's who they are. Like, that's, oh my God, this person's awesome. I want to be like that. Well, actually, you don't, because they live with their parents. And, you know, they drive a Toyota Celica or whatever, wrecked ass F-250, like whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
No, that's that it's valid, man, but there's so many other like intangibles that branch off of that. And what I mean by that is, for the younger generation that are coming up and they're seeing these things, right? It's giving them like false levels of expectations, right? For little girls, they see these IG models, you know what I mean, shaking their ass, or, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm not knocking anyone trying to get their money, whether you're a model or, you know, whatever. Do what you got to do. But for these kids that are coming up, they feel like that's the level that they need to aspire to be. Like, the girl, she needs to dress provocatively in order to get likes, or to get, you know, dudes to talk to her. The boys, you know, they feel like they have to put on some sort of, like, just, whether it's being like more macho, or, you know what I'm saying, like
a front, or
put
whatever.
on a front, yeah. Just to kind of keep up with the Joneses, man. And it's, like you said, it's unrealistic, and it's really unhealthy.
But fuck, it feels good when you get a little heart, like, you know?
Yeah, man. You get like a dopamine rush.
That's what it's about. How many likes can I get in a day?
Yeah, which is why we're always constantly checking our phones. You talked about, you know, how much time you spend on your phone. Bro, it's like another appendage at this point.
A little crack pipe in my hand.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A buddy of mine and yours, Nathan, did you see, he posted an article about, like, the effect of, well, not the effect, but how often we're checking our phones and the addiction that it's become.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, man, because, like, I'm guilty of it 100%.
Most people are. And I notice it a lot going out to eat, or going places with people. You sit down to have a conversation, have dinner, or whatever it is, and there's a lot of time that if that phone's on the table, or in sight, or easy access, if it's not in your pocket or purse, most of the time you're gonna check it. You know, pick it up, you know, look at it. No,
and then
nothing.
The food comes, and then you got to take a picture of your food.
Right? And then you got to post a selfie, and then you got to do this, and you got to do that. And it takes away from the personal interactions in your reality of what you're doing in life. And you're constantly worried about, again, that perception of social media and what you look like and what people think about you, and can I get a like for this? And it's kind of sad, man. Rather than spending some time with the person that you're sitting with and getting some direct feedback from them, or having a deep conversation, talking about something meaningful. I don't know. It's kind of scary to think about our kids, like what the next step is. 'Cause like you said, we're not that old, but in high school we didn't have this stuff. MySpace came out I think right after we graduated high school, not too far after. Excuse me. And I don't even think I had a cell phone until I was like 17.
Yeah.
And it was like, maybe I could send, I don't even know that I could text. I think it was just calls. I could play Snake on it.
You're dating yourself, man. No, I got my first cell phone when I was, like 17, 18, man. And, I mean, like sending media messages or, to be able to browse the internet, dude, like, it was nowhere near like it is right now. For me as a parent, this is something that I battle with, because there's times when I'm at home and that's like perfect time to be chilling with the boys or, with my wife, man. And I find myself just like spending endless amounts of time scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And, for what? You know what I mean? Like, my boys they're not going to be boys for long, like these are all, precious moments that we could be using to interact with them, create more memories. And, I'm not saying like I neglect my kids or anything, what I'm saying, to get on Facebook or whatever. But, the point that I'm making is like, there's a lot of wasted time that we could be putting into doing something like this. Right. Mm-hmm. Or, talking to someone in person, like you said, and getting that interpersonal, in your face, communication with someone, man. It's just something that's being lost.
Yeah. What I was going to say a while ago is I'm fearful for what our kids have to deal with. 20 years ago, or however long it was, not quite 20 years, but when we were in high school, we didn't have these things. We barely had cell phones. Then once we get out, we get MySpace. That's cool. You design a page, put some music up. People can post a couple little comments or whatever, and that was kind of all it was. Mm-hmm. It wasn't on your phone yet. And then you get MySpace, and it starts getting on your phone. Then you get phones that have full screens mm-hmm. and colors. And just if you think about the time from like when we were in high school to now, the progression of time that we spend on a device, the curve continues to climb and mm-hmm. escalate. So
that is something that I, especially when it comes to my boys, I'm pretty cognizant of, man. Like, we don't do, they both have iPads. It's not allowed at the dinner table. We try to monitor how much time they spend in front of the TV on their iPads and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, man, for my big boy, for a long time, he was like, when I would tell him to get off of it, like, you could see that it was like he was actually like hurt by it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like when I was a kid, my parents say, to do something,
go on.
Yeah. Like, all right, Mom, yeah, I got you. Whereas like it looked like it hurt him. Like, I just like yelled at him or screamed at him, and all I said was like, bro, it's time to get off your iPad.
You kicked his dog.
Yeah. So it's just weird because there are some studies with that as well, and how basically they're saying that copious amounts of time spent on these devices, like, it's actually rewiring our brains and whatnot, man. And it can lead to depression in like children. That's why kids in the grocery store or at restaurants, when they start acting up, what do you see these parents do?
Here, watch this movie.
Yeah.
Let me pull up Netflix on my phone for you.
Straight up. I mean, and for the middle class or most of America, parents are working, Monday through Friday. We already have limited time with our family as it is. So we go out to dinner, and that should be time that you're spending, increasing the bonds or whatever the case is with your family and stuff. But then you give your kid the screen, and they're sitting there just glued to the screen. So it's scary, man. There's a show on Netflix called Black Mirror. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't think I've watched it though.
So the premise of the show, each episode is independent from each other. But there was one episode, man, where it's kind of set in the future, and there is this social network like program that pretty much has permeated every area of our lives. So you get rated by other people, and your rating affects like your credit score. It affects different things that you have access to. And it was just super strange because there was like that parallel to what we're going through today, right? It seemed far-fetched, but it really wasn't that far-fetched because you're like, dude, what if they do this? What if that's where social media is going?
Right.
You know what I mean? You never know. It's a badass episode. I forget the name of the episode, but
Black Mirror. Everybody check that out. I'm gonna write that down.
The name of the show is Black Mirror. I believe it was the season premiere of season 3. Very interesting stuff, but that's a very good show, by the way. If you've never seen it, I implore you to check it out.
All right, so this kind of ties into the social media, but you were talking about NPR earlier and some of the things that they were posting on, I guess it was Twitter.
Yeah,
that they were posting on.
Man, NPR reached like savage level trolling on July 4th. So basically what happened, man, is on July 4th, on Independence Day, NPR started posting like various texts from the United States Constitution, but there was no context, right? So I think it was like 113 different tweets, and so each one had a different line from the Constitution, and people were getting like triggered, man. Like people were getting pissed off and angrily reacting to them posting
what was being posted,
right? Stuff from the Constitution. So it was just crazy because I'm like, bro, they're trolling the shit out of everybody right now, and I don't even know if it was intentional, but excuse me, as the day went on, it was like 100 and something tweets, and people are just like in their feelings about it. One in particular said, the reference was a prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Right?
Straight from the Constitution.
Straight from the Constitution. People like lost their minds. They were like, you guys are just like promoting propaganda, and this is the liberal fake media, fake news at it again. Try supporting a man who wants to do something about the injustice in this country. They were just going in, and finally, eventually, like people started catching on. But to your point, a lot of these people consider themselves like patriotic and are all about America and whatnot, but this is literally the founding document of our sovereignty. Our founding fathers wrote all this stuff. So obviously, without context, people took it a certain way because of their biases, kind of what we were talking about before, not knowing that it came from the freaking Constitution.
Straight from the Constitution, yeah.
So it was hilarious, man, because like as you're watching this thing play out and you're seeing all these replies and just people, getting butthurt over it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, well, when you were talking about that, I was thinking to the social point or social media point of people get on here and they have no context to what is being posted. It's whether it's a girl that's posting pictures of her modeling or doing whatever she is, and that's all she posts and that's what she portrays herself to be, or a guy in the gym working out and only post pictures when he's in cutting season or whatever, but
not when he's bulking
not when he's bulked up and walking around eating cheeseburgers and has a big old belly on him or whatever it is. And then to this point, somebody posts something, regardless of if it's from the Constitution or just a fact, or even if it's opinion. The first thing somebody does is take their preconceived notions in their head of their agenda or what they feel is being portrayed, and they're going to react to it. And yeah, man, it's fucking hilarious. You have people saying that it's lobbying and liberals and
bro,
it's just crazy to think that a simple text in this specific case from the Constitution gets that many people to just start talking shit.
So check this out. One of the tweets was it says, "It is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government." So one of the replies, the dude says, "So NPR is calling for a revolution? Interesting way to condone the violence while trying to sound patriotic. Your implications are clear." So, no. So my thing is like, dude, have I read every single line of the United States Constitution? No. Most people haven't.
Right.
So to be fair, I get it, but you can clearly, I guess, for me, sometimes I don't see how people aren't able to decipher, like, the difference between things.
Right.
Like,
Well, I think in those tweets, they put quotations on that stuff.
not always.
No? I thought they did on it.
Not always. So, again, and so the thing is like the way that the founding fathers wrote, like there were certain things that they emphasized. So they would like capitalize certain words or whatever, And so NPR, they were tweeting it just as is in the Constitution. So by the founding fathers emphasizing certain things, NPR retweeting it, at people's first glance, they're thinking that it was NPR that was emphasizing those words. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very funny. If you go to NPR's Twitter, if you have Twitter, go to NPR and just go back to the 4th on Wednesday and just spend a few minutes taking a look at it. I think you'll get a
laugh your ass off.
Definitely laugh out of it.
Anything else about social media that you can think of? I feel like we could talk about this probably all day and just come up with
absolutely.
random stuff.
Absolutely, man. I mean, at the end of the day, if there was one piece of anything that I could put out there in regards to social media, it's fact check. Fact check. It doesn't take any time at all. You can literally find out any piece of written, recorded information in like 2 seconds. You know what I mean? So when you see these memes that say, Donald Trump wants to, send kids to concentration camps, or you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, just read. It's not hard. And I'm not saying to go just, spend hours researching things, but you can literally find something that can, but the only problem is now is in the age that we live, you can find things that people will create to support a certain argument.
What is
right?
it? Yeah.
So it is hard, but that's why you have to kind of look at different outlets, you know what I mean? And let your conscience or let your intelligence kind of decipher it. Because you see all these like super polarized memes that come out from like Occupy Democrats, or, if I see something that someone shares something from like the Conservative Patriot, like I'm assuming it's going to be pretty biased. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, just fact check stuff, man. It's not hard. I saw one, I guess apparently one of the like campaign advisors for Trump got indicted on like human trafficking in Kentucky, man. For like one of like the regional Kentucky campaign offices. So, I mean, I don't even know if Trump ever met this guy, or like he didn't appoint the guy or anything like that. But what I'm saying is like,
they make it seem like
they make it seem as like that was like his best friend,
his homeboy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, but I mean, it doesn't take away from the fact that the dude did get indicted for human trafficking, and I think it was like coercing like a minor to perform sexual acts, and like it's pretty wild. But yeah, so biggest thing, guys, is just fact check. It's really not that hard.
I want to give some advice. Put your phones down. Talk to your family. Talk to your friends. Go do something else besides sit on your fucking phone and take pictures. I'm horrible at it, but I'm trying to get better. And I think if you spend a little bit more time talking to the people around you, I think that will help solve some of the problems that we're facing, that social media. Damn, that's loud. Sorry. That social media feeds into. Having to pull up something and fact check something. We were talking about it earlier. Our government. A lot of people don't know the representatives that represent them, and just
Oh yeah, dude. People can tell you more about what's going on in Hollywood, but they can't tell you who the freaking Speaker of the House is, or
Right.
who their state representative is.
Right.
So I agree with that 100%.
so the things that are being posted on social media, you have to go and fact check, and you have to do this and that. But at the end of the day, if we were just speaking with our neighbors and our friends and our family, growing as a person, a lot of these problems that we're facing would fix themselves. We wouldn't have to worry about the government trying to fix everything for us, like you were talking about. So put your phones down, have some conversations,
In fact, check.
and fact check, mother.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to social media, man, I like people are projecting like their best life online, and cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that, because I think for a lot of people, the social network is a way to keep in touch with friends, family. You know what I mean? Like, I've got friends and family all over the place, so of course we want to share like our happiest moments with our family and the ones that we love. But there are some people that are out there, as that kind of take it to the next level and are so extra, bro. Like, all that shit is not necessary, dude. We see right through that, right? So and that's not to say, like, posting a selfie here and there, or when I'm feeling fresh, or I get it. We're all guilty of it, man. But like, there's got to be a balance. You know what I mean? Like, it's like an epidemic, man, at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy. And what's that balance? Who's to determine that, right? I guess it's all individuals, but
It's totally subjective.
yeah.
But social networking is so powerful, and it can be used for so many good things. Like, you see, like, these crowdsources and the GoFundMe's for different things. So it can be used for like amazing things, but in the same breath, for the most part, we use it to get some likes, make ourselves feel a little bit better, and chase that instant gratification, man. But I don't know. I just hope it doesn't become like that episode of Black Mirror that I was talking about, because that shit was wild, man. You're gonna have to watch it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I think we'll wrap it up for social media. I don't have much more to go on that. I feel like I'll just talk in circles about the same things. So we'll wrap that one up. I think you had sent me a video via Facebook Messenger this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember the exact title, but it was something along the lines of talking white,
Mm-hmm.
or projecting yourself, speaking in a different manner.
Mm-hmm. So I sent that to you because as someone who has been, I guess, like, told that or accused of doing that,
Have you really?
absolutely, man.
Trying to be white, you mother.
So I thought it was important because, for one, I can what's the word I'm looking for? I can totally understand and kind of relate to it.
Yeah.
So the video was it said basically it was covering what's referred to as linguistic profiling. So, contingent on the situation that you're in, basically changing the way that you speak to give you the max benefit, right? And in particular, they were talking about blacks who at different times, use different forms of speech. So, they were talking about, I guess, having a white voice, or at other times not speaking in that white voice, almost like a customer service. You answer the phone, or, when you're talking, if you're in a professional setting, using that white voice, right? So growing up, so my mom, well, let me back up. Trinidad was colonized by England,
Mm-hmm.
by Great Britain. So in the vernacular, the dialect of Trinidad is very like Queen's English,
Okay.
right? It is obviously heavily accented, but it's based off of like Queen's English. So very proper.
So is there a mix between like the island language and the English proper? Like,
No, English is the main language
Really?
of of Trinidad.
Okay.
Because again, they were colonized by the English. So there's different areas of the Caribbean. You have like the Dutch West Indies, the British West Indies, French, and whatnot. So just contingent on the historical context or who colonized what area is what they speak. So I premise it that way because that is part of the reason why that I speak the way that I do, right? Not only that, but my mom was very, very big on grammar and the way that I spoke. My mom was an educator for many years. She retired as an administrator, as a counselor. Education was something that was very important to her. So I was always getting corrected at home in terms of, if I spoke incorrectly, used the wrong grammar, whatever. During the summers, I had to read books and do, book reports, just so my mom would, she would keep my brain fresh and not let it turn into sludge sitting in front of the TV for the entire summer. So I say that to say, I hate that term though, talking white, because growing up in Katy, which for those of you who aren't familiar with that part of town, in the 90s was predominantly white, right? And 99% of who you are is based on your environment. You know what I mean? If we would have stayed in New York, and if I grew up in Brooklyn off Flatbush, I wouldn't sound like this, right?
Right.
So, but I hate the term talking white because speaking intelligently and speaking proper is not something that is specific to white people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I totally get. I get where the video was coming from because there are times when I do that, and I'm very aware of it, but it's conscious and it's intentional. When I'm in a professional setting and I'm talking to my VP or I'm talking to one of my directors, why would I talk to him the way that I talk to you?
Right.
Or to one of my homeboys?
What up, my guy?
Exactly. Right? That would not be conducive to what I'm trying to do in my professional life.
It's not professional.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So different situations will dictate different approaches. And dude, I've heard it all. I've been called fake, you know what I mean? Like, whitewashed, you name it. But I look back and I'm like, the people who used to say that, like, then this isn't me trying to like toot my own horn or anything like that, but the people who think like that, ignorance, usually not successful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
when you were just saying that, I was thinking back to episode 1. We were talking about. I brought up why I didn't like Kanye, and there was a point of almost a reverse racism of white people or other races taking black culture and embracing that, and there's that kind of reverse racism towards white people because
appropriating black culture.
Right, exactly. So when you were saying that, that's exactly what I was thinking about. It's just kind of reversed of they're doing it to you because you're taking a professional standpoint of the way that you talk, the way that you dress, blah blah blah. So you're a sellout because you're not embracing the black culture or whatever, right? So that's kind of where my head went when you were saying that. Which
is crazy though, because for people that know me, right, and have seen me in different settings,
he's as white as they come.
No, bro, if you don't shut the fuck up. For people that know me, they know that I have very varied tastes and my style is different, you know what I mean? Like the things that I'm into. So look, man, everyone's different, and I love to see. I'm glad that we brought this up because if you look at like different subcultures within like the American culture, back in the day, like I grew up into things that stereotypically black dudes weren't supposed to be into. You know what I mean? Skateboarding, punk rock, heavy metal, and I used to get clowned for it back in the day. Now everybody wants to be a skater. Everybody wants to dress like a skater. You know what I'm saying? Like you see, like Wayne, definitely embraced the culture, and he skates now, and I guess he's trying to like become more legit at it. But what I'm saying is like you see how a lot of these subcultures are starting to fuse, and now it's not like taboo anymore. But 15 years ago, I used to have to fight, to prove that I wasn't fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or to stand up on my own too. So, but yeah, man, like the whole talking white thing, it kind of kills me when I hear that term, because again, I don't think it's something that's specific to white people. But
Yeah, no. So when I was watching that video, I think they had mentioned people going or doing phone interviews, and I forget the ratios, but it was like 7 out of 10 people that tried to portray themselves in a different manner than the way that they normally spoke were more successful.
sure, or they were able to secure the job.
Right. But when I was thinking about that, a couple things came to mind. One was the professionalism, like we talked about. It's like you go to work. If you were to wear maybe what you're wearing right now to a business meeting with C-level executives, they'd probably tell you to leave. So you wear a suit, you wear a tie, nice shoes, you make sure your hair's right, you're shaved up, whatever. That's not a white thing. I mean, so the way that you talk, the way that you portray yourself, again, is something you do to portray yourself as a professional.
Sure.
It's not to portray yourself as a white person or, I agree with you 100%. It's not a white thing. It's not a race thing. It's a professional thing. It's portraying yourself in the setting, adapting to whatever setting you're in to make yourself successful. Like, I don't know. The whole term talking white, like you said, to me, it doesn't make sense either. It's, I think everybody does the chameleon act in their life.
You have to. In order to be, I don't mean to cut you off, but in order to be successful, in order to break into different areas or aspects in terms of your goals and the things that you're trying to accomplish, you got to learn how to play the game.
Right.
Especially, and I'm going to take this one step further, especially being a black man in America, right? And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of things that I have to combat in like abstract things, intangibles, before I even get a chance for someone to get to know me, right? Because of those preconceived notions that you talked about earlier.
Sure.
Somebody automatically, if they're not, they don't have a lot of exposure around, black people, they're going to think, oh man, dude, you said in the first episode, like bigger black dudes have the perception of being, aggressive or, intimidating or whatever. And, you know what I mean? Like you have to adapt because if you don't, then you're going to feed into that stereotype or that fear. And then it's going to work against you.
I'm not afraid of you.
I know you're not.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is for me or for people in my position, that chameleon act is very advantageous.
Right.
You know what I mean? But black people aren't the only ones that are chameleons. And that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I don't want it to be misconstrued.
No, I mean, I think the way that I perceive what you were just saying was, as a black person, there's hurdles in life that you have to overcome because of the things of history, racism, just the stigmatisms and stereotypes of being a black person. That sticks with you regardless of how far along we come with certain people.
Sure.
So you have to be able to adapt to whatever place you're in, probably more than the average person because of being a black person.
Yeah,
that's the way I perceive what you were.
No, yeah, I mean that's a pretty good way to kind of create a synopsis for it. So just to backtrack a little bit though, there's nothing wrong with that though. There's nothing wrong with adapting, right? If you like kind of want to get deep and kind of go into like the biological side of it, that's how species survive. Adaptation, right?
Absolutely.
So, if you don't adapt, to your environment, your habitat, the predators around you, whatever the case is, you're going to go extinct.
Yeah, it's
right.
It's almost a way to grow. I mean, it is a way to grow.
Mm-hmm.
If person A grows up in the ghetto, and they are stuck in the ghetto, and they don't have a lot of money, they struggle, broken family, and they don't have the opportunity to learn and be around different types of people and go to different types of jobs and things like that. They get stuck in that place because there's not an opportunity for them to get out of it, right?
Sure.
So when people have the opportunity, to speak to a different person, I do it all the time. I talk to you. I talk to some of the friends and stuff that I meet, and they're completely outside of what I grew up around, the way that I talked, the cultures and things like that. And I pick up on words, phrases, and it's just friends being friends and horsing around and stuff like that. But it's still, I'm learning, and it's culture. Like, that's who you guys are. That's who your friends are. When I say you guys, not black people, I'm saying you guys as a group of friends.
And it's probably more pertinent to say we had a get together last night, and he met some more of my circle of friends. So I'm assuming that's why I said
absolutely,
that.
I pick up on things. I say different things, phrases and things like that.
That you wouldn't say around a C-level executive.
Would not say around a C-level
Right.
executive. Might not even say around my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just wouldn't get what I was saying.
Sure.
And they'd think I was an idiot if I said it, or.
And that is an example of being a chameleon.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's a positive growth. And that's a problem because not all people see that. That's a gap. I bridged a gap with people that I might not normally hang out with or have the opportunity to hang out with. And when you can, create that bond of friendship, and you make those adaptations, a chameleon, whatever you want to call it.
Got some cotton mouth, man?
Dude, I got something in my throat, and it won't go away, and
Not
it's
the first
not
time.
what you're going to say. I knew you were going to go there. But anyway, I grow as a person, and that's a good thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a race thing. It's not you're a black thing, or they're from the islands or Jamaica or wherever they're from. It doesn't matter. It's, you talk to different people, you learn different cultures, you learn things about people, and you grow as a person. You accept people, and that your circle grows. And I think
Your influence grows as well, too.
your influence grows, your knowledge grows. Like, I learned things about Jamaica. I learned things about Trinidad, speaking with you. And it reverses back out to what we were talking about of, quotes, talking white, of you talk to different people. You're now talking to C-level executive people. You're talking to managers that run facilities and companies and all these things. You're having those conversations. You're learning. You might have to talk a little different in a professional setting
Absolutely.
than you would with me or your homeboys. But that's growth.
So, as we're kind of discussing some of the advantages, right? So we're both in sales, right? All of our prospects aren't the same, right?
Not at all.
And probably one of the most important things in terms of being successful at what we do is building rapport with your prospect. You got to get them to buy into, right? Before they buy anything that you are going to offer them.
Sure.
So in doing so, in building rapport, you have to find ways to meet that person on that level. So with that being said, as I'm asking questions and trying to figure out someone and trying to figure out where I can inject a way to create that bond and make that rapport a little bit deeper, that's where the chameleon game comes in. That's where playing the game comes in. And I think, again, for people who kind of think like that, they get it. They get that is going to get you very far. It's going to allow you to be in circles that you otherwise wouldn't be in. It's going to afford you opportunities or meeting people or just, you never know what'll happen. And it sounds super cliche, but you only have one opportunity to make an impression on someone.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm out here walking around, pants sagging, talking however,
How do you talk?
well, I mean, as we're having this conversation, it depends on the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, with you, like, my guard is down. We have a mutual respect. We worked together, obviously. So, I guess, you know me professionally, but you also know me, on like the leisure aspect as well. So, but no, so what I'm saying is the building that rapport, having that first impression, you don't get a second opportunity at that. So carrying yourself in certain ways in different situations is going to allow you to navigate through this life and have a lot more advantages than someone who's stuck in one zone, who feels that being real is contingent on how you speak. You know what I'm saying? So, and to be honest with you, we're going to be posting some of these links of some of the things that we're talking about, so you guys can get on there, take a look at the videos, read some of these articles, and just kind of give us some feedback as far as, do you agree with some of these things? What are your thoughts on it? Because again, these are all things that affect us as a society. So I'll post this video whenever we post this episode.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we both agree that the term "talking white" is a term of ignorance, because it's not talking white. What is white, if you really think about it?
Mm-hmm. But so the video, it was done really well.
It was informative, and it made you think outside of the box and bring up a lot of different things. But just that term in general is it's kind of ignorant to me.
Yeah,
like you said.
I agree with you.
But yeah, there's I'm gonna have to rewatch it, because I watched it a couple times early in the week, I think it was. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're gonna post a link to that, like you just said. I think they give you some numbers as far as people interviewing and success rates, and I think they did like Hispanics and blacks.
Hispanics and blacks basically was like I forget how it was like I think they called it like urbanized or something like that. Yeah. Whatever. So basically, it was sounding white versus non-sounding white, the rates at which people successfully got through some of these interviews. And so to take this one step even further, man, I remember a while back there was a study based on like employment applications and college applications contingent on name. So this kind of goes, from like linguistics to like the names of people. And they were basically saying how a John Smith had a higher chance of getting accepted for a job or into college versus like a Jamal. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like a Lakeisha, right?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting stuff, man.
Let me ask you this, and this might not apply to you because you were talking about how you were raised with your mom, the way that you spoke growing up and things like that. Was there ever like a conscious moment when you were like, you were talking to people or something like that, and you realized I need to change the way I need to talk, or something like that? That there was like a moment that you remember that there was like, hey, I'm around this type of person that does this, or I need to watch the way that I'm speaking or doing things or anything like that?
I don't know if I could point to one specific thing. That's just how I am.
Right, that's the way you were raised and stuff, right?
I mean? So, yeah, I don't know if I could really point to one specific instance because, again, like I think in terms of situational intelligence, mm-hmm. for people who have that ability to do that, like on the spot, even before you go into a situation, it's not really something that I think about. It's just something that I do. Like it's
just natural. It's
natural.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it's the same thing. Just to back up a little bit, it's the same thing with you. Whenever you are, whenever it's a pretty chill setting or you're around certain people, the way that you speak changes as well.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
I would say the way that I speak doesn't really change, but I can remember different times
Different words.
with words.
Sure.
Like y'all.
Vernacular, yeah.
I remember somebody made a comment, you say y'all a lot. You guys say y'all a lot. And so the next time I went to a meeting or whatever, I tried very hard to say you guys.
You guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's weird because y'all it's a Southern term,
Yeah.
and that's the way we talk. But
Yeah.
when you spoke to someone else and they say you guys, y'all
Yeah.
is weird. So
Yeah. I say you guys. But, like, I mean, in my entire life, I've probably said y'all like 30 times. I say you guys a lot, man.
y'all.
But again, though, like the Southern culture, even though like I grew up in Texas, Southern culture isn't necessarily something that's like ingrained in me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a very interesting video, man. And I'd love to hear, you know, what some of our listeners think about that, and just kind of give us your input.
Yes, sir. It's been fun again, man.
Episode 2 in the books, man.
In the books.
I definitely want to thank some of the people that have reached out over the course of the last week with, you know, just encouragement and support and the messages about, you know, you guys liking what we're doing, you know, even some recommendations and, you know, different things to discuss. So again, we appreciate y'all listening and letting us steal y'all's time for about an hour. And, you know, we just want to continue to do this. So as this thing grows, we look forward to, you know, talking about a lot of different things that hopefully you guys will come back and listen to.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys. I want to give a special thanks to a couple friends of ours, Ashley Minter and Megan. I think, when was this? About a year and a half or so ago, the thought of doing a podcast came to me. Something I started putting some thought to. And I was talking to Megan and Ashley and told them this is kind of what I wanted to do. Wasn't sure what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. And about that time, I had reached out to you and said, hey, this is an idea I have. You know, would you be interested in doing it? And we talked about it and it kind of became. But they actually bought me a couple of mics for the podcast for my birthday. So special thanks to them for kind of pushing that forward and the feedback you guys have for us. I appreciate you.
So with that being said, guys, y'all have a good week, man. What I want to start doing, this is totally off the fly. But what I want to start doing is maybe like before we cut out, just kind of leaving you guys with a little bit of wisdom. You know what I mean? Like as you go into your workplaces and these different groups and different sets that we're all a part of, it's not hard to be a decent person. You know what I mean? Let's just try our best to understand everybody's going through something. Just be a good person, man. If you can help someone, help them. If it's within your power to help them, absolutely. Right?
Learn something. Have a conversation.
Talk to someone who you wouldn't, you know, I challenge you to spark that conversation up with someone who you traditionally may not, or someone who you have preconceived notions with. Learn.
Right. And you're not going to love everything that the person says.
No.
And you're not going to agree with everything.
You're not going to become their best friend.
You might.
Or you might.
You might become best friends. You might even not like the guy or the person.
Yeah.
But it'll give you the chance to grow some respect for somebody that you normally wouldn't speak with.
Absolutely. So go into the world. Let's put good energy and vibrations out into the universe, and let's start loving each other, y'all.
Look, yeah.
Arrivederci. Ciao, bella.
Peace.
Adios.